Hey, everybody, Stu Smith and Jeff Nichols is back with the Tactical Fitness Report. Jeff, welcome back, my friend.
I appreciate you having me, Stu. It's good. It's good. We'll catch up anyway, like we always do.
Yeah,
So good.
yeah, it was good chatting with you a little bit before the show, but we decided we're going to talk a little bit about goals because everybody talks about setting goals for the new year. And I want to kind of differentiate a little bit about the typical New Year's resolution that, be honest with you, I've never been a fan of. It's
No,
just been one of those things that have just usually resolution is out of our vocabulary by February, right? So let's talk about what it really is. It's a goal. And a lot of these goals are not that important if you think about it. And maybe that's why people fail them. I have a goal to try to stay under 200 pounds all year, right? Just try to do that. And I usually fluctuate between 205, 210. Every now and then I'll get under, 200 and I'm pretty happy with it. But, it's just a little goal. And I don't put all of my effort and all of my being into that goal, right? It's kind of
right.
almost kind of useless,
Yep.
right? But it kind of keeps me on track. And every Monday resets it. In fact, I was reading a study the other day about a term called temporal landmarks. And we shared this study back and forth, and we're kicking it back on this discussion. And so, something that's interesting about this year that I find pretty useful for people who are doing these type of goals that I just mentioned, like staying under 200 pounds or losing weight or quitting smoking or quit drinking, whatever these goals are, those are very healthy, important, but in the big picture, it may not be as important as some other lifelong career goals, things like
Right.
that, that,
Yep.
that tend to work a little better for you. So, I was reading about these temporal landmarks is that this year is a little bit different because you have a Monday, you have a first of the month, and you have a new year all on the same day. And these temporal landmarks, the study mentioned, was like a birthday, a Monday, a new week, a new month, a new year. All these things are just interesting ways to start your journey towards a goal. So I think with any goal, you need to have a start. So
Right.
let's kind of kick around the whole spectrum of goals, but let's talk about the start first.
Yeah. I think for me, it's interesting because we were saying before, like, we've never been a big fan of, like, when I say that, bear with me. I've never been a big fan of goal setting. And the reason I've never been a big fan of goal setting isn't because I wasn't exposed to what I guess I consider a good way to set goals, which is the process. It's about a behavior. It's like I can have a cognitive idea, like I want to do something, I want to achieve something, I want to maintain something, I want to be something. That is first is a cognitive belief. It's a thought, and I need to take that thought and I want to make it into a reality, and I'm going to call it a goal. It's behavior. What I'm trying to do is create new habits through behavior, through action of my thoughts, and then that's a hard thing to do tangibly. I think depending on, especially in the space we're talking about, the military tactical space, like, it's not sport where you get to like try it out and see if you like it. You can't like go stick your toe in baseball for a couple months and go, I don't like this, I'm never going to do it again. We don't have that opportunity in our military. So goal setting takes on an entirely different sort of, I think, attitude also, because you're right, great. Like, what if you, like, you got, man, I really want to be a Navy SEAL. Like, okay, there are really tangible milestones in that, in between concept of thought and getting your trident. And I think that that's what we're trying to do, is understand that goals can change, goals can shift, but it doesn't matter what it is. If you're not practicing it through your behavior, you're just there's no point to it. No one thinks themselves into action without, I'm sorry, no one thinks themselves into habit without taking action.
Oh, absolutely, and you nailed it right there. I think all of these, when you do start a goal, you're pretty motivated with that process at first, right? Everybody's motivated to go join a gym. Everybody's motivated to start running their marathon running program the first week, right? It's that second, it's that fifth week, it's that 10th week. That's when things start falling apart because you're no longer motivated anymore. So while you're motivated, create good habits
Yep.
because that is what you're going to have to rely on when you wake up and you're not motivated to do what you have to do that day. But
Yeah.
then you do it anyway. And now you've gone from motivation and habits to discipline.
Yeah, that you can rely on, right? That's the idea.
Yeah.
Is why do I have a goal? I want to have a goal so I can create a habit that improves my life in some metrics that I can measure. Like that's really, and it doesn't like I'm not like physically, man. I'm saying like I can look back 3 months ago, man, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
Or you maybe you've done blood work, or maybe you've gotten through sniper school, 4 months long, right? Whatever it is, like there are milestones, and in those milestones, it's a heavy, it's kind of a heavy burden. That's kind of the joke that Stu and I were, and Catherine and I were talking, is like at 45, I have extreme aptitude to learn, but I don't have that same fire in me as I did at 23 to go do this crazy physical challenge or something. Like when it comes to my goal setting, it has little to do with my physical. It has a lot more to do with like my emotional state. So
Yeah, sure.
that's what I'm saying. Like that's, and so when someone said it, I'm just saying this because I want people to know that like within goal setting, some of that stuff is only measurable by you. And that's another thing to think about too. You know, right? It's like don't try to like definitively define like a goal in which if there's a range of success, like I don't be like, hey, I'm going to be the honor man at Buds or nothing else. I'm not happy with it. Like to me, that just seems a little bit frivolous until maybe you get to Buds. So that's
Yeah.
all I mean. Goals
No,
can evolve while you're in them.
oh, sure. In fact, they have to, right? I mean, I think about some of my first goals was I was seventh grade, kind of a skinny kid, started lifting weights. My next door neighbor was a couple of years older than me, got a little stronger, started looking towards high school and playing sports in high school. So I really want to make the high school football team, right?
Yeah.
So that was a goal. And then, play baseball. And, so it all kind of evolved a little bit every year. And now I'm on the football team. My next goal is to be the defensive captain, right? And then I want to be the team captain, right? And so
Yep.
goals, goals, goals. And then I had this goal to like go to the Naval Academy. Did everything I could to do that. Got to it, and I realized, whoo, man, I got to up my game.
How the work starts.
Oh man, I was like, I was almost getting kicked out in the first 6 months, So I was like, whoo, I got to figure this out. And found
Yep.
another goal, right? And started doing that, and then had a goal to go to Buds, and then that one was more. That was probably my first real goal. When I look back at all goals I've ever set for myself and tried to accomplish, that was the one that was deeply resonating inside, and I wouldn't even have called it a goal at the time. I mean,
Right.
this is something I just want to do. I just want to do it so bad that I can't fail. I can't
have a choice.
Yeah. So that's a different level of goals. I think we all have them going through life, and you want to make an A on a test one week and you want to do something like that. So you work a little hard towards that goal, you achieve it, and then you move on to the next one.
Yeah. And just going back to that study, what you mentioned, the kind of the way you started, it was great. Cause like Stu was like, hey, I wanted to start like when I read that study, what I hear and see is like the difficulty of things. Like, oh, there's only 9% success. But like I look at it and go, okay, if you use Stu as an example and what he experienced relative to that study, you go, what did he do? He put himself in an environment in which he could practice achieving that goal. He didn't just be like, oh, my neighbor's lifting weights and want to do these things. Like, I'm going to sit back and watch and learn. Like you put yourself in that environment because that's what everything's a test. We may not like to frame it that way, but why did you go do that? Well, subconsciously you're trying to go like, well, I want to do this, so I got to go figure it out and endure this. And I think that's the biggest problem, big picture of goal setting I never understood. I always understood goal setting as this, like, I'm going to think myself into success. I'm going to list stuff down every single day. I'm going to stare at the piece of paper that I've taped to my mirror. I'm going to repeat it 10 times, but I'm never really going to actually go out there and put myself I'm not going to go up to my neighbor and go, hey man, I see you're lifting weights. I need to learn. I mean, I did that my way, but I think that's the big problem now, as we see with athletes that we got coming in, is they intellectualize everything before they actuate it. They've read all the books, listened to all the podcasts, they own all the t-shirts, and they know all the formers. And then you go like, hey man, like, how long you been training? Like, well, I own all the programs, but I haven't even started yet. That's like the
Yeah.
most common. So you have these guys that go, we had an athlete that came through here that had a master's degree from MIT. He
Damn.
he wasn't allowed to be physical after the age of 9. At 9, his mom just he was he I, and I don't mean this disrespectfully. I said it straight to his face. I said, you missed out on all the development necessary to achieve this goal. So what he did at 9 years old, he's a genius, like
Yeah.
a literal genius. And he couldn't understand why I was saying, no, you need to go practice this. Well, no, but I got shin splints. I just need injections. No. Like,
Ooh.
you missed out on the entire physical development of this.
Yeah.
And so you go, like, it doesn't matter what his goals were. He missed the opportunity to be physically ready. And that's what that study says. It's like, great. Like, you've got to get involved in your goal physically and not just write it down.
Yeah. That's a really good point, because I would like to kind of parallel this discussion, of the 9 to 10% of people who succeed in New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
It also parallels to the buds attrition rate, which the graduation rate, is somewhere between, 10 and 20%. Some years it's even single digits. So I would say those two are comparable. And my big question is why? Why are these two so comparable? Because you would think this is a career goal. This is a goal of something that should be resonating so deep in you that you can't sleep at night because you're thinking about it so much.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of those type of goals. Whereas I can understand the New Year's resolution goal. No one's losing sleep over, the excitement of some New Year's resolution. Right? So they're completely different animals, but they have the same attrition rate.
Yeah.
Which boggles my mind.
I think some of that too really is like, it's really, I think environmental is super fantastic in terms of checking to see. What I mean is like when you, like what you have going on up in Maryland every day, when somebody shows up that really doesn't fit in, it's obvious. Yeah. And when someone shows up that really has done the work and fits in, it's equally obvious. And this is the problem. Well, it's not an American thing. I think it's just a human thing. But I'm an American, so I'm going to state about America. Socially, now we can be whatever you want. You can be whatever gender you want. You can pretend to be a fucking unicorn if you want to be. And the society has to bend to that idea. So what's the difference between someone wanting to be a unicorn, right? And I'm making fun of saying unicorn because there's someone active duty Navy that dresses up like a unicorn, and I saw the video anyway. So you have society saying, hey, you can do whatever you want. Intellectualize it, think about it, create a name for it, make up names for your identity that don't exist. And so we've created this clout of non-existence. You can be whatever you want to be as long as you can think it in your head and yell and scream and say, this is what I am. And if you don't think this is what I am, you're a racist. So that's the world we live in. And so until we take responsibility, you get 9%. But here's the thing is you see buds and go, what does buds do 100% of the time? It makes seals. It ain't broken. It is not broken. And so the reality is the society keeps shaving off and, police officers, law enforcement, a lot of things. They keep shaving off integrity, keep shaving it off socially. And what do? There's less and less and less places for real warriors to go find their way through this. And so that's what, really ultimately, what really do I think that Stu and I do? We help you guys actuate your goals.
Yeah.
That's what we do. And it comes with a fair amount of compassion, but it doesn't come with a whole lot of excuses. It's hard love, but that's the way it is, because not only do I want to love the guys and appreciate the guys coming through this and do what they do, like I adore the fact that strong men are still going to do these things in such an environment that we go, man,
and they want to serve.
Environment for me, man.
They give me hope for the future every day. that
Yeah.
these young men and women are wanting to go serve and do really tough things.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That
that's,
that it requires months, maybe even years of preparation to even get to the training.
yeah. And that's the bonus, guys. Like, it's a weird thing that we're trying to, like, I feel like we're trying to placate the length of time. It's like, man, like, Matt Wenning said once to me, he's like, because he gets people asking him all the time to be his powerlifting coach, and he's like, his first question is like, "Hey, what's your goal to be a world champion?" And if they answer less than 10 years, he goes, "I won't train them."
Mm,
And you're like, "Oh, to be a world champion, it isn't something that happens in 18 months. To
no.
take on one of the most difficult jobs on the planet doesn't it requires a real commitment." And I think that's the conversation.
Yes,
It's not a,
100%.
"Hey, if you want to be a Navy SEAL, do my one program, you'll be." No, like, we
Yeah.
can't, like, I have so much respect for the people willing to endure the timeline of process, because
Yes.
that's how I found out I was worth it, was in the process. Was when I'm finally working on being a SEAL, I finally am able to get around people that are doing the same thing, and I'm not really comparing myself with value, but I'm seeing, like, hey, there's SEALs in this population. I got 188 guys in my buds class. Some of us are SEALs. We're gonna find out who we are, and, like, as
Yeah.
time went through, you go, the people that graduated had the process. They had real goals. They understood that there was some gray area there, because they never got to try to be a Navy SEAL until they showed up at buds, or showed up at Navy boot camp, or in your
Yeah.
case, the Naval Academy. Is like, whoa, like, this is really serious, and I've got it. And that's what people don't realize is, like, everyone says you can just be a superhero if you just say it. No, I can speak it all the time, man. Like, guys come through here and they've got all the Velcro and all the T-shirts, but they have no intention of going.
Mm.
So it's super obvious, and I think that's the beauty, is the population we work with in the jobs that they're trying to go do. Like, it's hard to achieve that without real goals.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, let's talk about some good goals.
Yeah.
Like things that I think that are worthy of a higher effort than you're putting in today, right? Let's say tomorrow you're starting this goal, right? There are many things that are worth not only just starting towards this trend, but then never stopping, right? Yeah, especially if it's an exercise goal or if
Yeah.
it's a weight loss goal. These things are not something that have a destination on the other side of it. Like this never stops.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
True. And also, I'm a positive. Like, you're right, Stu. Like, when I was at the command, my team leader used to always say to me, "Man, hey, you get used to this. This is an emotionless machine that's going to keep rolling with or without you." So you said it all the time. I'm like, because why? I'm like, all the way up to assistant team leader in Red Squadron, and it's like the work had just begun. Like, hey, you've been identified as a responsible human being. Now it's really time to take responsibility, not just for yourself. And, like, I'm the first to say that I did not handle that well. I wasn't mature enough for it.
well, I will say this though, but how many goals did you accomplish before you hit that level?
My very first goal as a
Doesn't.
child, I failed. My very first goal as a child is what I failed, and that's what created this. My failure in baseball created the groundwork of real effort to make me realize that it's like, oh, there's other things I love to achieve. And that's what I think too, is like, I believe this in my heart, is that something, like we're saying, that's worth really goal setting. That's your first thing, is understand that there's a timeline associated to this. And I get this. A lot of guys, well, hey man, I don't have 2 years. Like, well, why don't you have 2 years or 18 months? If it's an age thing, that's a different conversation. But a lot of times we hear guys go, I'm 23 and I don't have time. Like, why don't you have time? No. Like, you're just in a big fucking hurry to get away from where you're at.
Yes.
You may not be running from it, but you know that where you've been isn't where you want to be. Friends, job, life. And you're like, I got to get the hell out of this environment. And they're like, I got to get in buds now. And that is what is the leading cause of failure. People trying to do it fast when you're like, why?
I would agree.
Right? Because no 18-year-old is going to outdo a 22-year-old of themselves if they've done it right. And that's the reality. Is like we're saying, if you really are serious about the end state, you have to be equally serious about the process. I mean, this was my TED talk essentially. Like
Yeah.
that's, it's like, what are we doing? Like at the end of the day, we're just refining processes and goals. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, well, see, I like to define goals like what I just mentioned, like getting fit and losing weight.
Yeah.
Once again,
Yeah.
not
Examples. Right.
not
Yeah.
really a destination, right?
Right.
It's
You
just
bet.
something
It's a
that you're going to
lifestyle.
have to just start doing. It's a lifestyle. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
A cessation program.
Yep.
Are you trying to quit smoking and dipping and drinking alcohol? Whatever's bad for you, drugs. You know, those are such big goals that chances are you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
That's how
Right.
big it is, and
Yeah. And that's, you
those
bet.
are the type of goals that you need to. It requires that extra effort. It requires that internal will to keep doing it, even when you're tempted not to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
I
or
imagine this is one of the feedbacks you get from your guys that succeed. I got some messages this morning, guys. I'm sure guys you trained graduated buds a couple weeks ago. They're coming back. So it's interesting we talk about this, and it's like, you hear such a common sort of phrase as like, and this is where I was saying the goal setting is so valuable, like with environment around the team. It's because like you and I have both sent guys, not literally, that have left us as a training group in a group of 5,
yeah,
6, 7 guys in boot camp together, all show up to buds together, kind of, and you have this group of people.
yeah, it's fun.
And that group of people has a far higher success rate. Not just because they
Oh,
receive training from
absolutely,
us. That's a big part,
absolutely.
but because they have created the environment that other people that have created environments recognize. That's real. That's true. And when
Yeah,
you get people together that have really similar goals, what do you have? You have
and high
gratitude.
standards,
Yes.
and
It
high
feeds
standards.
itself.
Hold each other accountable.
Yes.
All that.
Yeah.
It's a
It's
support
an
network.
interesting thing. I know
Yeah,
you've been experiencing this as a coach for a while, but this is the first time I've experienced, like, we've got like 6 or 7 guys checked in at 2, 4, and 8 here that we've trained in
nice.
class.
That's
So
awesome.
it's coming back around, feeding itself, right? And now it's like we had 16 active duty SEALs in here a couple weeks ago
Sweet.
that just checked in, and then I got guys from Trade It here, and it's like we're finally getting some traction with the active duty guys, and it's just, that's what I'm saying. It's like they're in this environment now. They're like, I am worthy, and now I can really put the work and see these goals that aren't deselection goals.
Yeah.
Like there's a milestones. It's like, because here's the point. It's like losing weight. This, when you get into teams, for me, I had goals. I
Yeah.
want to be a breacher. I want to be a sniper. I want to be the point man. I want to be these things. And all of those things are courses of instruction or professional development that you have to be a good dude, right? Be a good
Yep.
leader, be a good soldier. And eventually doing the right thing will open up goals that weren't available to you had you not endured some of that early stuff too.
Oh,
So those really awesome. Like, I want to
absolutely.
be the lead point man, on this raid. That never happens unless you've set all these paths, these goals in place to get, because you don't leapfrog in the teams. Nobody goes to SEAL Team 2 and goes, "You're badass, man. We want you to come over here to Dev Group." That does not ever happen and never has. So
Yeah.
there's no recruiting,
No.
right? That's a big myth. Nobody
Yeah.
recruits. Now, there is some on different areas, but it's on the black side. But from Navy
Right.
SEAL to Navy SEAL, there's no recruiting. So it's the environment is so powerful, and that's why the teams have such a draw. Is because that, we'll use another term, limbic resonance. So when you have a group of people that have that same mentality and attitude,
Yeah.
and somebody comes into that attitude with a willingness, they take on that same attitude. And in a
Yeah.
very big extreme, you put a bunch of women in a room for 3 months, they all get on cycle together. It's
Oh
called
yeah.
limbic resonance. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah. Yeah.
feed off people's energy, good or bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. In fact, that's funny you brought up limbic resonance because
Yep.
I use the term resonate. Like something's got to resonate with you
Yeah.
deeply to go create the drive to want to do this and the will to want to not stop when everything hurts. And
Yeah. And that's what
and
people
when
learn
you
to
fail and
draw.
then you work again.
Yeah, and people like you, just what you say, people possess that through action of practice. That drive for me got more and more and more because I got into the process and realized this is what I want. And that's what people are most afraid of, getting into a process that they're like, I can't maintain this, but they still want. And that's the problem. They can keep wanting, but if you keep wanting without a process, you're like everyone else then.
You know where I see people go wrong on this, Jeff, is when they have a goal, but then they don't even realize it. They have multiple goals intermixed with it. And what I
Right,
mean by
right.
that is like somebody says, I want to be healthy this new year, right? That means they're going to start eating right. They're going to start drinking more water. They're going to go exercise. They're going to quit smoking all in the same week. Right. And chances are you're not going to be able to maintain all of those multiple
All
goals.
those behaviors are intertwined, all of them,
Yes, they're all intertwined, but you got to deal with one at a time
one at a
and
time.
work
Yes.
work your way through them. I always tell people, for me, the catalyst has always been movement, right? As long as I'm moving, I now have energy and focus and a little bit of sweat equity built
Yeah.
into my day to kind of guide me towards making better decisions with the other ones, right? If that is to drink
Yep.
more water and eat better foods. And so let movement be your catalyst to fixing it all for you,
Yep.
but let it
One,
evolve into it.
don't, yeah, great. I do not overlook the really don't overlook the value in changing one thing that's been a habit you've wanted to change for a long time. Like something as simple as saying, hey, I'm going to cut out soda by in 3 months. Like, well, wait, why don't do it now? Because you ain't going to.
Yeah, it's
Sugar's
hard.
too
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
So you go, okay, what am I drinking on it? It's that's what I'm saying. It's about setting up real reasonable goals that you can get behind. Because I'm saying, hey, you drink 12 Cokes a day. I'm not going to bring you down to 2 right out of the
Mm.
gate. It won't happen. So it's like, okay, and I'm not going to just remove because that habit, right? That was the big habit for me. Not drinking Monster. It was just like a habit. They'd send cases and cases and cases. I just habitually do it, and it was like,
And they're good.
why am I
They taste
drinking?
good.
I was like, I'm not
Yeah.
thirsty.
Yeah.
I don't need to wake up. It's out of convenience and habit. It became a problem.
Yeah.
And then when I stopped doing that, what actually really happened when I was authentically changing a goal. Here's the beauty is when you find yourself authentically changing a goal or changing a behavior through goal setting, you'll go, holy crap, this is amazing. Then you'll just start clearing house. That's why
Yeah.
we only need to change one thing that's really
Yes.
worth changing. Because that one thing will lead you to, it will lead, like, it's like,
It's a snowball.
the extreme is this, is like for my addiction. When I started focusing on stopping my addictions, everything else got better.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when if you're trying to get away from that and you set up really good goals, what you're going to find out is you're probably going to have new friends too, potentially,
Mm.
right? Or new lifestyle. Or
Yeah.
so that's what people don't want to do is they're afraid that it's going to lobotomize themselves, like lobotomize their social life. But for those of us that need that, like that was motivating for me. Like I never had a problem. Like I was never really swayed by public opinion or peer pressure. But I think that's because of my environment. My parents were so very supportive in my goals.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Does help.
I can only speak to myself, and
Yeah.
what my practice is, honestly. So you see some as a coach, but at the end of the day, for me, it's just I'm not trying to make them change. What I want to do is show them that there's opportunity that they can change for the better. Because it's got to be on you too. Like if somebody else is doing the work for you, you don't find any value in it.
Mm. No,
So
I've everything that I have done, I have noticed this particular journey, which starts off with, like you said, the idea. Like you have an idea, you want to do this, all right? You turn it into a goal, and now you're like, all right, well, let's start moving towards that. right? So movement, once again, let's start moving towards that, whether that is I'm studying more or I'm working out more or I'm eating better, drinking more water, whatever that is. And then while I'm doing all that, I'm forming little habits,
Yeah.
right? And those habits are going to come back to save you because there'll be that, like we said earlier, you're not going to be motivated to do it 1 month from now, right? It's just the way it goes. There are going to be days when you wake up and you don't feel like getting up, but you get up anyway. That's when you have now turned it into discipline. And you can rely on this discipline. That discipline keeps you going, and it's almost like another gear towards that goal setting. You have to make these evolutionary steps. Then discipline even goes another notch higher into mental toughness, right? So you can't just go be mentally tough
Yeah, yeah. It's
without
resiliency and mental
going
toughness.
through this
Practice.
journey. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no, you're right. Like and that's that. It's the most unsexy thing that we have to offer you guys as coaches is
Yeah.
saying, because I think probably the most common question or response that you and I both get is it depends, but beyond that, it's like the first step is you need to create a timeline that's reasonable. That's the first thing. It's like if you're then it's got to marry up with that reasonable goal, right? It's if I want to be a Navy SEAL and I'm 18 years old, what I'm going to do is authentically go, hey, if it's really worth me doing, the timeline is important, and
Yeah.
I'm going to create a reasonable timeline that does what? Not so short I can't achieve, so long that I run out of my endurance. It's got to be focused for a period of time for you to measure yourself, and then and then it's hard for us because it's not like you're hitting baseballs and seeing trajectory, right? I'm working out, running, swimming, and I'm testing myself, against a population that's unknown to me. Like, I don't know from month to month what the delayed entry program is going to pump out as far as scores. So it's like there's not like there's no guarantees or automatics, but the closest thing that we can offer to a guarantee and automatic is exactly what we're saying. Set a
Sure.
goal, set a timeline, and refine your process over that timeline. And then what Stu and I always see is a high level of success that people, because we could say only 9%, but we could say of the people that you train and that you observe and you go, hey, I could make a pretty good hypothesis on based on what I see of the likelihood of these guys being physically ready. And
Oh,
for
sure.
us and for you, it's really high.
Yeah, I mean, it's flipped upside down.
Yeah,
It's the
totally.
9 or 10% are the people I'm like, damn, I can't
Yeah.
believe he didn't make it. Right?
Right, right. That's it. That's really, I would say that's probably what it is for both of us. I bet both of us probably have a success rate. Well, it's not us, but the guys that train, it's like we probably have a success rate in excess of 60%, I bet, if not higher.
Yeah,
Right. So I
it's
look at
definitely
it and
higher.
go, right. And I look at it and go, okay, why is that different? And I just go, well, you've been doing this for what, 20 years now almost,
Yeah.
or right at, right? So
Yeah.
it's like you've had 20 years. For 20 years, you have been authentically refining a process to help people refine their goals to achieve something worth achieving that takes a long time to achieve.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that's the fact, and it's not an easy model, and it's an impossible model for people that haven't been through what you and I have been through. I
You,
really do. Is there's great strength coaches out there are,
oh,
but
sure.
it takes a person to experience this to, I think, authentically articulate this to the athlete and go, hey, this is a real thing and it's worth it, because I've experienced it. Stu's experienced it. It's worth it.
Yeah. You know where I kind of observe what I think is good and bad in people's preparation, goal setting issues, or is whenever I discover or whenever they say, hey, in 6 months I want to go to Buds. I'm like, well, that's fine, but let's assess and see exactly where you are, and we'll make that determination, because instead of having some arbitrary timeline that you want to be, heading towards Buds in the Navy, the week after you graduate college or the week after you graduate high school is an arbitrary timeline, right? You don't have to go at that moment.
Right.
In fact,
Yeah.
let's set a performance starting line for you.
Yes.
Build yourself up to this, boom, now you're ready to go.
Yeah, we do the same. Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
when they're approaching numerical goals, that's when it's like we have that discussion and going, hey, what is it? How are you feeling during training? And so then they are able to articulate some of their feels because they practice here with us for 6 months, and we're hearing them. We go, oh, okay, you're experiencing this, and we can tweak it here. But I think that it's it's an interesting thing because guys have been going to buds for a long time, right? But and same with sport. People have been playing sport for a long time. But this is the first time, it's really like really honored, like honestly be a part of the process, like with you to go, hey, you and I actually are approaching development for these guys in the same mentality of like, if you've been a lifetime head strength coach for football, right? There's a
Yeah.
constant refinement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It just constantly dumps value into it. And with us, it's such a cool thing because I know, and I know that when someone there's a few people that show up to your front door and you're like, if this dude doesn't make it,
Oh, yeah.
I'll walk away, because there is like you can feel
Oh.
yourself in them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Like I
yeah.
said, you can see when they got
Oh
it in
man.
their eyes, and
You
it's
can,
in there.
boy.
You can
Oh,
see it
we
because
had a few. Yeah.
you know why? As a coach, I am constantly pulling the reins on those guys.
Yes. Yes.
I'm
They'd
like, hey,
stop doing
stop,
that.
stop.
Yes.
You're gonna
Stop.
hurt yourself, right? You're
Yeah.
ready. You're ready
And
to
they're,
go.
yep. Oh man.
Yeah.
And that's one of the guys that's coming back tomorrow. And just like, there's been a few, boy, and I know that you've been doing it so long that you got a lot. And
Yeah.
so that for
It's fun.
me, like, so when we kind of switched the thought here is like, because I'm why I bring this up, because now I can tangibly see, and I'm getting tangible feedback on a daily basis or weekly basis from guys that are experiencing first phase, second phase, third phase, SQT. I got guys in trade. It's like same with you. It's like, if I'm not refining my process for these guys, man, I'm missing the boat, because
Oh, yeah.
it's just constantly good information, and it's just like, man, it's fun, I guess, is my point. And I think that that's the thing too, guys, is for those of you listening, is yes, there's an aspect that it's like, it's hard work, it's real hard, but man, like when you get around your people, oh man, there's very few things in my life that I've ever experienced that much fulfillment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And I
really,
tell you what, if
really
you've spent all your preparation time working out by yourself, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into a group of 50, 60 other guys and gals too, for that matter, who all want to go do some form of spec ops,
yeah,
it is life changing for these guys,
yeah, yeah, and
and
it is, and it's, you see that, like, and I get why there's so many people drawn to it that don't go. I get it, like because there's real like magnificent energy coming out of these men that actually go do it, and you can feel it, and people are drawn to them too.
yeah,
It's really palatable, and a few people possess it. We usually get one guy per class, or maybe two, but sometimes we don't get any. And it's really cool. For me, I think that that's the point of goal setting, is the goals that we have as a business, we're able to play out with real humans. My
yeah,
goals for me are really about, you know, helping. Like, that's what it's about now. It's really about, I don't have any real personal milestones. I don't want to climb anything. I don't have another title of any sort. Like, I'm really content. I like being called coach now in a way.
yeah. Me
So
too. Me too. In fact, it's on the
yeah,
back of my shirt.
yeah, there
Coach.
you go. Right. And it's cool. That's fulfilling, because I, like we said, man, I see these guys, and some of these dudes walk in, I'm like, dude, that's like looking at me at 23.
Yeah,
And that's it, man. I love
that's
being
fun.
able to do that.
I will say, one thing I like about coaching is, because I coach so many different types of people wanting to do similar jobs, not all always the same, and different backgrounds, is as long as you're doing that, it's hard not to become a better coach, right? And I can look back in the last 10 years and realize not only groups' performances, but also my own growth as a coach. Like I became better coach because I realized this in
Yeah.
this type of athlete, right?
Yep. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and so I also have those goals as well, is
Yeah.
to be able to have something that is almost like a universal change, right? That I just like a little tweak even that makes a huge difference in a different type of person than it would with another type of person. And
Yeah.
you know, you learn how people learn, and you know you can pick those things up, you know, as a coach. And
Yeah.
you know, as a goal for me, that's what I am trying to do as well. I don't necessarily want to be called anything other than a coach,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
enjoy this. Kind of got it set up. But I will
Yeah.
say this. I will say this. It shouldn't matter what day of the week or the month or the new year, that when you feel like you really want to do something spectacular, like you want to go join the military and do special ops, you want to go and become a doctor, you want to go become an astronaut, you know, whatever those things are that you want to go do, it doesn't matter what day of the week you decide you're going to go do this. It is once you said, like,
Yeah.
resonating deep inside, you're going to do it. Now, for all the other little goals that we have in life, like low blood pressure and low weight and all those things, Monday, first of the month, first of the year are great times to start those, because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just one of those, like, resetting of the clock. Let's get on it. So,
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that you can't do without a start, and then that's a big initiation for people, and you know it's a good time, and we all just gotta admit that, like, the difficulty is maintaining it, and that's okay too. Like, that's part of it, right? So it's it's a hard thing to develop sometimes, but it's just the nature of how it is. You got to do those sort of things if you really want to be, you want to be achieving your goals, you know. And
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. For me as a coach, I get a, like, the last thing is, I got, that's beautiful. Like, it's when other people achieve their goals, that's when I get fulfilled.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
When guys hit their milestones, you see them, like, get to buds, SQT, or other units. It's like that's when other people achieve their goals. That's fulfilling to me in this
Oh,
space, for sure.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not a coach if you don't think that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense to be a coach if you're
Yeah.
not thinking that way. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
that's cool, Jeff. So, what's going to be new for the new year for you? Anything going on this next phase?
um, well, we're in the last year of living in Virginia Beach, so
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
yeah, we our flooring got delivered to our new facility. It hasn't been installed yet. We're kind of just, you know, our equipment, we won't move out of here for about a year from now.
Oh,
A year
okay.
from now, we'll vacate this place, and
So there's
that's
some
kind of
spec
still,
ops kids. There's some spec ops kids in Alabama that are going to really be
yeah.
fired up,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah. We've got quite a facility that we're putting in there, and it's going to be fun. You know, and that's the point of it. Is like, that's why we're doing it, because where we're currently at, we can't physically achieve.
Yeah.
We can't physically achieve the facility we want here. You can't. You're not going to be able to do it for a reasonable time, place, or cost. So, you know, that's why it's like we have goals. We have business goals we want to achieve. We can't do them here in Virginia Beach. So that's the big reason why it's better. It's better for you all. It might be a
Yeah.
bit of a drive for some of you, but no, we don't train anyone local anyway, so it doesn't matter. We don't train it. We've never trained anyone locally, so it doesn't really matter where we're at. So
Right.
yeah,
That's a good
that's
point.
really our year. That's our new year. Yeah.
Yeah. I got gifted a GoPro, so I've
Nice.
now been doing a lot of underwater stuff,
Yeah,
which is
yeah, that's great.
added a whole new dimension to my coaching. So I'm
Yeah,
going to try to
GoPro's
master that.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm going
Yeah,
to try
yeah.
to master that this year.
Nice.
We're
What
doing.
you might have to find is make sure you have a weight for it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because I've used it too. Sometimes, like, because you just guys swim by it fast, it'll move
Yeah.
it. So get like a 5-pound plate and, like, tape it to it. Or,
Yeah, I have it on a stick. I have a mask that I have it connected to the
Oh,
top of my
nice.
mask now, so I can get
Nice.
underwater and swim with it. So,
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. Very cool.
we'll try to
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is like we're gonna put a pool and we'll put a 50-meter pool at our place. Because
Oh
I'm done. I'm just
man.
done. I'm done renting. We're done with
Oh,
it, man.
oh man.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a two maybe 3 lane. We'll have a 50-meter pool at some point on our property, like right next to the gym. So,
Sweet.
and it's Alabama, so it'll be 11 months a year we can swim outside.
Oh man. Now I'm jealous.
Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff we got cooking, so it's gonna take us a couple years to do it, but that's where we're at. We are going to make the first of its kind. Like we're gonna make a facility that's designed and specifically made purely for our military. Like that's it. From
nice.
the saunas to the gym to the pool to the space, we'll have a range on everything. So
nice.
28 acres. So
good for you, man. Yeah. That's awesome.
That's my year. It's going to be a good busy. So that's the thing. That's our goal. So here we are.
I love it. I love it. Cool, man.
So we'll do this again. Let's just off camera. We'll pick up some more topics. Because I'm going to have you should have. I'm going to talk to him too. You know Max Pranger?
Yeah, I know Max. We deployed together.
Yeah, man, I've talked to him pretty regularly for the last couple of years, and his health went from pretty poor to a lot better.
Oh, and nice.
So from like a longevity standpoint, like I wanted to get him out and have a conversation. So he's fantastic.
Oh, I love him. So, he's a great guy.
Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to have talk with you. I'm talking to some guys, talking to John Sullivan tomorrow. He's in New Zealand. He runs the university out in New Zealand, in Auckland.
Damn.
So he's out there. I'm talking to him, and then a guy from Australia I'm talking as well. So just trying to get people to get behind this real motivated New Year push. I think it's a good idea.
Okay. Oh, cool, man. Let's do it then.
All right. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So everybody check out firstperformanceus.com. No, damn it.
Performance first.
Yep,
it's all good.
Performancefirst.us.com.
That's
right. You find all about what Jeff does down there in Virginia Beach and future in Alabama, and StuSmithFitness.com over here in Maryland. So, all right, and got that air show still kicking over.
Yeah, they just as soon as I get on the camera, they start landing. So
nah, that's awesome. Yeah. I love it. Sound of freedom.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon, Stu.
All right, we'll see you.